that was 1979. That was an excerpt from the Mike Walsh Show from 1979, a song originally written and performed by Tom T. Hall, but that time performed by a man who is very heavily associated with the Australian music industry and the Mike Walsh Show. His name is Jade, Hurley, O-A-M, if you don't mind. And guess what? He's on the phone. G'day, Jade.
G'day, Rob. G'day, Neil. It's lovely to be talking to you this morning. And that song, yes, recorded live off the Mike Walsh Show in the day, all those many years ago, and the song, as you stated, recorded and written by Tom T. Hall, a great mate of mine, and sadly we lost him a little while back, and we were just tremendous mates, and every time I go to Nashville I'd stay with him.
Jade, thank you so much for being on the show, and that's an interesting comment, and I hadn't even thought about a connection like that, but Brian Cadd and another whose name escapes me on this show have talked about the time they spent in Nashville, and I'm not talking about a weekend visit, I'm talking about extremely long periods of time over there recording, meeting and working with some of the giants of American music. What is it about that Nashville is sort of like a world music magnet?
Well, Nashville is you're right, it is a magnet because it attracts particularly American budding musicians, budding songwriters and performers from all over America, because that's where it all happens. And because of that fact, Rob and Neil, you find musicians of the caliber of say Tom. I mean, in Nashville, there's 100 Tom T. Halls. Mm. There's only one Tom T. Hall. But there's so many others with equal abilities to be able to write a song and perform it and all of that sort of thing. And they just do things differently over there. The talent is immense because of the population, because of America, and it is what it is. They have that Grand Ole Opry over there, which is an amazing auditorium theatre, yet it's a recording studio as well, and so many things so many live shows come out of there, every day, every week, and it's just a magic place to be.
And I think it might have actually been Brian Cadd. We've chatted to Brian a couple of times on the program as well, and I think it was he who said that it's one of those places that because there's so many artists, there's so many live venues, and there's so many live venues, so it attracts lots of artists. It's that kind of, feeds off itself, where sadly in most parts of Australia at the moment it's going the other direction.
Yeah. Well, that is right to a degree. You're right, because down on the Strip in Nashville, you have all the bars and everything like that, and that attracts even some of the big names, let alone a lot of the up and comers. But it's hard work. It's hard work performing there, fellas, for the simple reason that they don't get paid. All they do is they pass the bucket around, 2 or 3 times during their show there. They do a show there, and if people put a lot of dollars in the bucket, they have a good night. If people don't. The patrons don't put many dollars in the bucket. They have a lean night, and it's a tough way to make a living over there. But that's a system that they work on, and it's proven to be successful for a lot of people for a long time. I mean, for instance, right now, Stewie French, who is an Australian guitarist, he went to Nashville years ago and learned the style of playing American style guitar, if you like, country music I'm talking about, and only just recently, the last couple of years, he packed up his whole family, took them over there, did the Keith Urban thing, and they worked around the bars and everything like that, and then all of a sudden they were invited onto the Grand Ole Opry, and now they're big stars over there, and that's the way things happen. If you're lucky and if you have the ability and the talent, you'll finally be recognised over there, and good luck to him.
And a big enough bucket by the sound of things. In fact, Rob's now left the studio, Jade. He's rushed off to Bunnings to buy a bucket. We're going to pass it around the studio later because we don't get paid either. Take us back to where it all started. I believe it was a young man called John Hurley who launched a music career some years ago.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, fellas. I was lucky because there I was, a 14-year-old kid in the beer garden of a hotel in Sydney, the LOR Hotel in Sydney, which was a very well recognised entertainment venue in those days. 14 years of age and drinking schooners of beer with my bodgy and widgy mates, and there was a talent quest on there, and my bodgy and widgy mates entered my name in the talent quest unbeknown to me, and when the compere yelled out, and the next contestant is Johnny Hurley. They threw me up on the stage. I was as drunk as a skunk. I was drinking schooners of beer, and I was as drunk as a skunk. And in those days, you had to be 21 years of age or over to be on licensed premises. And here I was, a 14-year-old kid, drunk as a skunk. And so they threw me up on the stage, an old upright piano, and I sang the big hit record of the day. Come on over, baby. A whole lot of shaking going on. The old Jerry Lee Lewis song, and would you believe I won the talent quest, and the first prize for winning the talent quest in those days in that particular venue was a nice brand new 10 shilling note in those days, and another schooner of beer, which Johnny did like a hole in the head. Johnny O'Keefe just happened to be driving past the place after doing a show at Wollongong, south of Sydney, the night before, and he called in and saw me jumping all over the piano, and 2 weeks later, he put me on 6 o'clock rock, and here I am today. And he changed my name from John to Jade, and that became an accident because he said, look, he said, son, everyone needs a gimmick, and Johnny Hurley doesn't sound. It's not a good rock and roll name. And so when he took me down to the wardrobe department. At Channel 2 Studios when we were doing the 6 o'clock rock show, he said to the lady in the wardrobe department, he said, have you got a pair of gloves that'll fit this kid? Because that'll be a good gimmick for him playing the piano. And so the only pair of gloves she had was a dirty old green pair with sequins and diamantes all over. I said, Mr. O'Keefe, I can't wear these. People will think I'm an horse's hoof, you know. And anyway, he said, put them on. So anything that Johnny O'Keefe said, you did. So I put them on. I said, there you go. They're too thick. I won't be able to play the piano. He said, take them off. So I took them off, and he gave them to the wardrobe. He said to the wardrobe mistress, he said, have you got a pair of scissors? So she said, yeah, I've got a pair of scissors. So she handed him a pair of scissors, and he cut the fingers out. And he said, now put them on. Now you'll be able to play the piano. So I had mittens, and he said to the wardrobe mistress, he said curiously, he said, what colour are these sort of thing? And then she said, they're sort of a jade green colour. And he said, oh, Jade. There's your new name, son, and there's your gimmick. So there you go.
I'm still fascinated by the fact that a man whose name was Johnny said, you can't really use Johnny as a rock and roll.
I think I'm on to the reason why.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Jade, let's go back a little earlier. We've had some really interesting stories about influences in music, and you had an accidental story about making that opening. But it sounds like you're a bit of a show off in your early days. But the music influence, where did that start?
Look, it was with Johnny O'Keefe, believe it or not. I just thought that he was an amazing performer, and God, the way he jumped all over. He was only a little fella, and that intrigued me because he was a little fella with just full of exuberance and ability. As soon as you put him on stage, he connected with the kids, and the girls loved him. He wasn't a good-looking bloke. He said to me many years later, when he was nurturing me and showing me how to walk on stage and talk on stage and all that sort of thing, because he did mentor me for a long time. He said, son, you're the same as me. And I said, why? How's that, John? And he said, well, number one, you're not good looking. I said, thanks for that. and he said, you haven't got the greatest voice. I said, oh, thanks again for that. But he said, you're just like me. You're a showman. and you connect with the audience, and that's what it's all about. And I never forgot that, yeah.
So did you just mimic him, or were there other influences in your life and family that led you to be a bit of a show off, but also to want to be a showman type?
No, I just admired what was happening in the world of showbiz in those days. I mean, all of a sudden, all of a sudden you were hearing the Rock Around the Clock, and you get the wrong note, Billy Goat, and Over the Mountain from JOK, and Rock and Roll and Clementine from Cold Joy, and I mean, they were just magic days, and I was just influenced by all of that. A lot of people said, and have alluded to the theory that I copied Jerry Lee Lewis, but I never did that. I just played his songs the same as I played Chan Ramiro's song, the Hippie Hippie Shake, and sang that, and because they were just good songs that appealed to me, so I played them while I was playing the piano, I have a style of playing the piano myself that nobody else, and I'm proud to say nobody else has. Jerry Lee Lewis was the pioneer of glissing up and down the piano and using the showmanship and when I say gliss, you zip up the piano with your three fingers on the right hand, and then you zip down the piano with your thumb, if that all makes sense.
It does.
Rob's doing it as we speak.
Yep.
There's nothing musical about it apart from the fact that it is a term called glissario and on the piano. But Jerry Lee Lewis made that an art, and I copied that to a degree, but I do it different. And it's ironic that down through the years you have Billy Joel, who never glissed on the piano, never. Sir Elton John never glissed on the piano. Charlie Rich, great country player, never glissed on the piano. The only one Little Richard, never glissed on the piano. And really, the only two, of note who did that was certainly Jerry Lee Lewis, and he did it in the fashion that he did it, and I do it in the fashion that I do it.
Jade, most piano players that I heard of started doing classic and then went into the rock scene. Was your piano training similar?
No, not at all, fellas. As I say, I was still only 14 years of age, or even less than that. And those days, every Sunday, the average family would have a baked dinner, and my family was no different than that. And my mum was cooking a baked shoulder of lamb one afternoon on a Sunday afternoon, and she said, "Look, because I learned how to play the piano by looking at the way she played the piano. She wasn't a great piano player by any stretch of the imagination. She needed sheet music in front of her to play, and I'd sit on the piano stool next to her, and I'd watch where the notes that she'd play on the piano, and looking at the music and all that sort of thing. So I taught myself invariably how to play the piano and how to read the music and even write music. Even at that early age, I was very, very lucky to be able to have the gift to do that, and it just went on from there. Anyway, she said to me, well, there are two options if you want to learn to play a musical instrument proficiently, is to go to the Nuns up at Rockdale, which is the next suburb away, and learn to play the violin. And I thought, well, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to play Buddy Holly, Peggy, like that on the violin. She said, but there's old Mrs. Sullivan, who was a 74-year-old lady diagonally across the road, who was a piano teacher. And I said, oh, okay, well, we'll try that. Well, we tried that for a couple of months. but Mrs. Sullivan had a white pencil, and she'd give me scales and exercises to do in between every Thursday at 6:30 in the morning lesson. And so I'd practice scales and exercises, and I absolutely hated them. And because all I wanted to do was play Buddy Holly and Chan Ramiro and Johnny O'Keefe and all the rest of it. And the first thing she'd say when I'd go into the music lesson is, "Okay, do the scales and exercises that I gave you to do." And if I made a mistake, pardon me, which I invariably would, she'd bang me over the knuckles with this white pencil and hurt like hell, particularly in the winter months, which it was. Anyway, I thought to myself, no, this isn't going to happen. So I said to Mum one morning after coming back from Mrs. Sullivan's music lesson, I said, "Mum, we've got to reevaluate the situation with Mrs. Sullivan." I said, and she said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I've told you about the white pencil, and she bangs me on the knuckles when I make a mistake." And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, the next time she does that, I'm going to rip the pencil off and jam it somewhere."
Into the top of the piano, of course, lest we be encouraging violence. Yes.
So we decided to call it quits, and I just went on my merry way, and I have ever since. I hear something on the radio, I'll never forget being so inspired by a wonderful, wonderful song that I heard on the radio one day, and it was Debbie Reynolds singing Tammy. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful song. So I just walked over to the piano, and Mum and her sisters were there. Mum had 5 sisters, and every Thursday they would play, get together and play cards. And I just happened to be home from school one day, and they were playing cards, and I was listening in the corner of the lounge room where they were playing cards to the old radiogram. And on came Debbie Reynolds singing Tammy, and I listened to the song, then just went straight over to the piano and played it. And one of my aunties, one of Mum's sisters, said, "Come over to the piano." She said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "I don't know. It's just that I can. I hear a song and I can play it." And it went on from there. And that's the ability that I discovered I had as a young kid, and still got it to this day, ironically enough.
And that shows a great love of music, full stop, in that if you can go from Johnny O'Keefe to Tammy, you just obviously love music, not necessarily rock and roll music, although it may have been your original inspiration.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right, Robin. It's I mean, music is just a wondrous thing. I've got a thing that I recorded it. Pardon me. I recorded a pilot, a television pilot at Seagulls Rugby League Football Club on the Gold Coast, Tweed Heads on the Gold Coast, and that's on YouTube. And I play "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" and the what's the other piece of music? Anyway, on the piano, and it's a real showy piece. It's on YouTube, and so if you go to Jade, Hurley and "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and you'll see it there. I just love good music.
Yeah.
A good song is a good song. Good lyrics are good lyrics, and it doesn't matter whether it's Tchaikovsky or Chopin or Johnny O'Keefe or Elvis Presley. I just love the whole thing.
So, Jade, for the show you put on now, you've been doing it for 60 plus years. Has the show continued to evolve as your love of music, change of music, and new music comes onto the scene, or have you got a formula that works and you just keep pumping it out?
Yeah, well, yeah, the latter. The latter is the case with myself, fellas, and that stems back to what Johnny O'Keefe told me all those years ago. He said, "Hey, when you walk out there on stage, just remember you're not doing the show that day. He said, you're doing two shows. You're doing the show you're doing that day, and you're also doing the show that you're going to be rebooked for. And that even happens with on the 11th of December this year. Later on this year, I'm doing the Sphinx at Geelong there, and I've done that many times there. And that same thing applies. I mean, the reason why I do the Sphinx every now and again, periodically over the years, is because the show goes well there, and the formula that Johnny O'Keefe told me, hey, you're not doing one show, you're doing two shows. The one you're going to be rebooked for, that applies. And he said, as long as you go out there and get them clapping and get them stamping their feet and then leave them standing up at the end of the show, that's what it's all about, son.
It's interesting, that particular facility, Jade, you may know, originally was known as the Gulfview Hotel. And in 1975, a band called Mississippi stood up on stage there and said, we are no longer Mississippi, we are now Little River Band, because Glenn Shorrock had seen the Little River sign on the way down from Melbourne.
That's right, exactly.
Now, I've just got some dates in front of me here for people who are listening in other parts of Australia, because we are available on 94.7thepulse.com. Friday the 16th of August up in Queensland, Saturday that's at Redland, Caloundra on the 17th, and also Maryborough on the 18th. How's this for a lineup, Rob? We've got Little Paddy, we've got Digger Revell, Dinah Lee, Lucky Star, and Jade Hurley. Not a bad afternoon or evening's entertainment, I would have thought. Then in September in Grafton, and then Tweed Heads, that's the 14th and 15th. In October the 12th in Toowoomba, and then down in Geelong in December, as you say. You're actually going to be in town for a private show before that, but you'll be down here in December on Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. So it's a show that older folk can get along to easily enough at the Sphinx, Wednesday the 11th of December. Now, Jade, people are thinking to ourselves, we've got a 65-year-old bloke on the phone here. I don't think we're telling a great secret to say that you're over 80, and for your recent birthday, you recorded another song.
Well, I'm lucky, fellas, because I have my own recording studio, and I mean, for instance, all last night, I never went to bed till 8:30 this morning.
Wow!
But all night, because it's nice and quiet. I can think, I can be inventive, I can write nice string lines and things like that, and experiment with different sounds and all that sort of thing. And so I'm constantly recording. And right now I have 25 tracks in the can that have never been heard. One of which I think is the one that you're alluding to, which I only just put out a week or so ago. But once again, I'm lucky to be able to get out of bed if I can't sleep and turn the studio on and make music and be there for 6 or 8 hours at a time.
And then get an hour and a half sleep before some goose wakes you up with a phone call.
And at 81 years of age, I'm quite content to be able to do that.
It's quite amazing. You've probably already answered my next question, which was going to be, you're still having fun.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, Jade, we've had plenty of fun chatting to you. It's been fantastic to make acquaintance with you. I used to come home from school occasionally early and you'd be sitting there on the Mike Walsh show banging a piano. Little did I realise 40 years later I'd be chatting to you on the radio. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday morning. You can go back and have some more sleep now, and we'll look forward to catching up with you maybe on the 11th of December down here at the Sphinx.
Good on you, fellas. It's been lovely to talk to you, and I hope we do it again soon.
Good on you, mate. Best wishes.
Thanks, Jade.